Few artists have managed to blend pop, folk, and country music as seamlessly and poetically as John Denver. The American singer-songwriter rose to fame in the 1970s as one of the most beloved acoustic performers of his era. His timeless hits, including Take Me Home, Country Roads, Leaving on a Jet Plane, and Annie's Song, captured the hearts of millions. The latter, famously inspired by his then-wife Annie Denver, remains one of his most personal and enduring works. Now 78. Annie Denvany Martell has recently addressed long-standing rumors about her late ex-husband, finally laying them to rest. Though many recognize her primarily for her connection to the country music legend, Annie is a remarkable individual in her own right, a former school commissioner and television personality with an impressive story to tell. Born on September 6, 1946, in Minnesota, Annie Martell was raised in a Christian household by her parents, Jim and Norma Martell, alongside her three siblings, Linda, Terry, and Ben. She attended local schools before enrolling at Gustavus Adolphus College in St. Peter. It was during her time there, in 1966, that she crossed paths with a then rising star John Denver, who was performing as part of the Chad Mitchell Trio. Their first meeting left a lasting impression. In a 2022 episode of the Moby Terries with Mo Rocca podcast, Annie shared the story of how they met. After his performance with the trio, John joined a small group putting on a light-hearted musical, Annie, playing a minor role as the girl who carried the Act 1 and Act 2 signs across the stage, caught his eye. He later told her he remembered exactly what she was wearing that day: blue jeans, a flannel shirt, and penny loafers. They hit it off quickly, exchanging letters. Over the following months, their connection deepened, and just 9 months later, they were engaged. On June 9, 1967, the couple married. Annie's Song, one of John Denver's most iconic hits, immortalized their love and introduced the world to Annie Martell, the woman behind the music. Few songs capture the essence of love, nature, and music the way Annie's Song does. Penned by the legendary John Denver, the track is more than just a love ballad. It's a heartfelt reflection of everything he held dear at the time: his music, his deep love for Annie Martell, and his reverence for the natural world. Recently, Annie Denver, now 78, finally opened up about the emotional weight this song still holds for her. She revealed that even now, decades after it was written, she still tears up whenever she hears it. Among her favorites of John's work is also, perhaps, Love, a duet with Placido Domingo. Though many speculate whether these songs were born out of intimate personal moments, Annie's Song came from something more profound, a moment of clarity and reconciliation. In 1971, a defining year for Denver's career thanks to the success of Take Me Home, Country Roads, the couple took a life-changing camping trip with friends in Aspen, Colorado. The breathtaking beauty of the mountains, combined with Denver's love of the outdoors, sparked inspiration that would lead to two of his biggest hits, Rocky Mountain High and Annie's Song. After a particularly emotional quarrel with Annie in 1973, Denver went skiing alone to clear his head. While riding the Ajax chairlift on Aspen Mountain, the melody and words for Annie's song came to him in a rush. According to Annie, by the time he got home, he had written the entire song in just 10 minutes. It started as a love song, Annie said, but for him, it became something like a prayer. For her, the song stands as lasting proof of their love. Though the couple never had biological children, they adopted two Zachary John and Anna Kate, whom they raised with deep love and devotion. Unfortunately, their marriage didn't survive the pressures of fame and distance. In 1982, after 15 years together, Friedenvers divorced. John later admitted that his growing success and constant touring took a toll on their relationship. Over the last 4, 5, or 6 years, we started drifting away from one another, he said in a 1983 interview on The Russell Harty Show. Part of it had to do with the amount of time we weren't together, and then the inflexibility to reintegrate into each other's lives. Annie had her own perspective. They were simply too young and unprepared for the intense spotlight that came with John's fame. She confessed that over time, she lost her sense of identity. Overwhelmed by his celebrity status, despite the separation, the pair parted on good terms. Annie never remarried and continues to live in Colorado, surrounded by her children and grandchildren. Though false rumors have circulated about her passing, she remains alive and well, preserving the memory of her life with John Denver with grace and dignity. John Denver, born Henry John Jr. on December 31, 1943, in Roswell, New Mexico, became a symbol of American folk and country music. The son of Emma Louise and Captain Henry John Dutch Sr., a decorated Air Force pilot, John had a difficult childhood marked by frequent moves and a strict upbringing. An introverted child, he struggled to make friends and adjust to new environments. His life changed at age 11 when his grandmother gifted him an acoustic guitar. Self-taught and deeply passionate, Denver played in local clubs during college and eventually adopted the stage name John Denver on the advice of Randy Sparks, founder of the New Christy Minstrels. Denver initially studied architecture at Texas Tech University, but dropped out in 1963 to pursue music full-time in Los Angeles. In 1965, he joined the Chad Mitchell Trio, which later became known as Denver, Boise, and Johnson. Not long after, Denver went solo and released his debut album Rhymes and Reasons in 1969. One of the songs he had written earlier, Babe, I Hate to Go, caught the attention of producer Milt Okun and evolved into the hit Leaving on a Jet Plane. Peter, Paul, and Mary recorded it and took it to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Denver's own version also reached the top of the Cashbox charts by December 1969. Much of his early success was driven by his relentless self-promotion. He toured the Midwest, played free concerts, and appeared on local radio stations, all in an effort to build a following. His grassroots efforts paid off. His 1971 album Poems, Prayers, and Promises brought mainstream success, thanks in part to his new manager Jerry Weintraub. who masterminded a national radio campaign that catapulted Take Me Home. Country roads to hit status. The 1970s were a golden era for Denver, with hits like Rocky Mountain High, Sunshine on My Shoulders, Thank God I'm a Country Boy, and, of course, Annie's Song. Television also embraced him. He appeared on numerous guest shows before landing his own specials, including Rocky Mountain Christmas, which drew over 60 million viewers and became ABC's highest-rated show at the time. His international popularity soared, leading to the John Denver Show on the BBC. Though his life had its controversies and tragic and topics worthy of deeper exploration, John Denver's legacy remains tied to his passion, sincerity, and deep connection to nature, music, and love. And through it all, Annie Martell Denver remains a graceful, living reminder of the quieter, more personal side of the man the world came to know as John Denver. John Denver wasn't just a musical icon, he was also a humanitarian, environmentalist, and philanthropist. Over the course of his career, he garnered numerous accolades, including multiple Grammy Awards and American Music Awards. But as his musical popularity began to wane in the late 1970s, Denver shifted his focus to causes close to his heart: nature, conservation, and community outreach. He was actively involved in various fundraising efforts, notably performing for the Aspen Camp School for the Deaf and supporting the Aspen Valley Hospital's $1.7 million capital campaign. One of his most cherished projects was the 450-acre WinStar Land Conservancy in Aspen, Colorado. Not only did it serve as his home, but also as a wildlife sanctuary and an environmental education center. While Denver's marriage to Annie Martell ended after 15 years, one dramatic episode from their divorce remains infamous. Denver later admitted that, in a fit of frustration, he attempted to cut their marital bed in half with a chainsaw, symbolic gesture during a difficult and emotional split. According to insiders, this act may have been retaliation after Annie reportedly cut down several family trees on their property in Aspen. Years later, Denver found love again with Australian actress Cassandra Delaney. They met in Sydney in 1985, married in 1988, and welcomed a daughter, Jessie Bell, in May 1989. However, like his first marriage, this relationship was also short-lived. The couple separated in 1991, with Delaney publicly describing Denver as a vindictive bully. Some believe the failure of this second marriage marked the beginning of a downward spiral for the singer. By the early 1990s, Denver's personal struggles became more visible. He faced two drunk driving charges, one in 1992 and another in 1993, when he crashed his Porsche into a tree. After pleading guilty, he was placed on probation. These legal troubles prompted the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) to require Denver to abstain from alcohol if he wished to continue flying. Despite his passion for aviation and his official pilot's license, Denver was eventually medically disqualified from flying due to his failure to comply with FAA regulations. His private life, once seen as peaceful and grounded, was now marred by depression, substance use, and emotional instability. He later admitted to using LSD and marijuana during his creative process, even stating that Rocky Mountain High was written while under the influence. Though beloved for his wholesome image, critics often called out this contrast between his public persona and personal behavior. John Denver was not a decorated pilot like his father, but he was an experienced flyer who deeply loved aviation. Tragically, that passion would lead to his untimely death. On October 12, 1997, Denver was piloting a Rutan Long as a lightweight, home-built aircraft when it crashed into Monterey Bay near Pacific Grove, California. He was 53 years old. The crash led to widespread speculation and investigation. One key design flaw in the aircraft was the placement of the fuel selector valve behind the pilot's left shoulder. This poor ergonomic choice forced pilots to take their hands off the controls to access it, a dangerous maneuver during flight. Compounding the problem was the inaccurate fuel gauge system, which lacked proper markings and linear readings, making it nearly impossible to determine fuel levels with certainty. In the end, a combination of mechanical design flaws and human oversight contributed to the crash. Denver's failure to properly assess the aircraft's fuel system and safety features ultimately proved fatal. Despite the tragic circumstances of his death, John Denver's legacy endures. His work in music, environmental advocacy, and humanitarian causes continues to inspire generations. In fact, Take Me Home, Country Roads re-entered the Billboard charts this year after being featured in a popular Super Bowl commercial, proof of his timeless influence. Additionally, a special theatrical tribute to John Denver is set to debut on July 10th, celebrating the life and legacy of the man whose voice became the soundtrack of the American landscape. Though his life was marked by both incredible highs and heartbreaking lows, John Denver remains a treasured icon, one whose songs still echo across mountains, meadows, and memories.